Hey ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Raynday Gaming. My name is Raynday. Happy New Year to you all. It's been a while since I've been back on this mic, and I'm really excited to get into this video. In fact, I'm a little surprised that I'm even here, and I'll tell you why in some vlogs I have upcoming during Hi-Res Expo. And if you don't know what that is or know anything about that, check twitch.tv/HiResTV for this next week. We are going to be having our biggest event of the year, the Hi-Res Expo presented by Twitch Prime, which I'll be hosting, and I'll also be casting for Paladins. So make sure you tune in and check out all this cool stuff. But back to the subject at hand, let's talk about the Ruckus phenomenon. This will be my last video for the week, and I wanted to bring up an interesting topic. That topic being how absolutely nothing changed in Ruckus's kit, and he went from 0 to hero. How he went from trash tier and disrespected, like spit on. Somebody brought a Ruckus into your rank game, you wanted to reach out through the internet and slap that person into, hey, yeah, Ruckus, grab a Ruckus for sure. I cannot believe that this is something that we are seeing played so consistently. Yet, when I think about it, it makes a lot of sense, and I want to talk to you all about why that is. I want to open up your eyes, open up my eyes, and also just prep myself for having this conversation at Worlds. Now, before you can understand this, you have to know I'm looking at it from a top-down perspective. I'm looking at the high-level competitive esports scene and also understanding the way the casual scene interprets these champions. I know Ruckus was actually still quite loved and enjoyed by a lot of people at a casual basic level, but in the competitive scene, he was absolutely treated as something that you could never bring onto the battlefield, that you could never get away with, and all the teams that actually tried to intermittently got punished for it big time. In many ways, Ruckus is kind of like Sky, right? Where a lot of the casual community, and hey, I'm a part of that, you all are probably a part of that, feels that Sky's very, very dangerous, but the competitive player, the top level player in Paladins, that 1%, knows really well how to deal with her and knows exactly what her strengths are and doesn't feel that Sky is really a big part of this meta. Now, that's been the case for a while. We'll see if that happens this next week. I anticipate to see some Sky. I think Stolzy and his team, Match Point, might actually bring out some Sky, but that remains to be seen. However, the Ruckus comparison to Sky I think is great to understand how the casual scene might view Ruckus and kind of where my perspective is of why I'm saying Ruckus went from bad to good, right? If you're playing casual, you think he was good already, that's great. But if you're playing competitive, you know Ruckus was not in a good place, and suddenly he is. I mean, no matter how you slice it, it's very weird to have a player go from completely disgraced and out of the meta into a very good pick with absolutely no changes to them. Like that, even the meta shifts, you know, the meta shifts a lot in Smite and in different games, but for absolutely no changes, not even a slight buff, not even a, you know, a tweak to the cards, you get like 60 more healing instead of 50, you know, those little changes that pros are like, oh dang, like that means I'll be able to get my mana buff 0.5 seconds earlier and be, you know what I mean? It's like none of that happened. It was literally nothing. And so that's a little strange in general. Well, let's get our shovels out, boys and girls, and start digging into the case to see exactly what contributed to Ruckus becoming a top dog. First off, there was a very important change that happened, and that was a nerf to one of his competing champions. That would be Barrack, and actually Fernando as well. Let's put him on the list also. The only one that didn't really get nerfed was Makoa. He got consistently buffed. But Fernando and Barrack, the top two tanks for a long time, actually both received successive nerfs. And what this did was twofold. This hurt their perception outwardly, so the casual community started thinking that Fernando was on the downturn, and so was Barrack. It's kind of like a stock, right? Where you have this perception of the casual community and people thinking, oh, that character is kind of not going to be as good now, and that gets them off of thinking they're the only player in that role that should be picked up, or they're the only champion in that role that they should take, right? It doesn't become you have to have Fernando. It becomes, well, Fernando just got a nerf. Maybe there are some other options. Maybe I'll have to learn about it. And that, I think, was a very big deal into allowing Ruckus to rise up. Sometimes you don't actually need to nerf the champion or buff the champion. The champion could be in a great spot. It might be that his counterparts in that role are just way too strong. And for the case of both Fernando and Barrack, that seemed to be the case. Fernando and Barrack were doing so well and were just so dominant and were that way for like as long as I could remember in Paladins. And so it just seemed like bringing them back into line with where Ruckus was, which we felt, I think, you know, I felt, and I know a lot of people I talked to felt was in a good place, allowed Ruckus to get his day in the sun a little bit more. So the nerfs to Fernando Barrack, huge reasons why Ruckus is now where he is. Secondly, inexperience. Now, inexperience means, and in this case refers to the fact that people did not give Ruckus a lot of time. Like, Ruckus became somebody that you just knew was not going to fit the role better than Fernando and Barrick, and therefore you were not going to pick them up. The meta was played in a certain way, and without having the experience of seeing Ruckus be successful, there was not a lot of energy players at the top level wanted to put into it. I mean, think about it like this. Think if you're a soccer or a football player. Everyone wears cleats. That's for a reason. It's because cleats give you traction on a field that's, not concrete, it's grass, and that extra traction helps you to cut faster. Now, all of a sudden, what if somebody started wearing shoes that didn't have cleats or had a weird formation of cleats? It would be kind of obvious that that wasn't the traditional, the tried and true method, and it would take a long time for everyone to start wearing those shoes, especially if they were not considerably better. Like, think about it like this. Cleats, yes, A+. These shoes, they're like a B+. So why would you ever switch? That's what Ruckus was. Fernando and Barrick were so good, and no one had any experience with Ruckus in the competitive scene. And even if he was okay, why would you ever take the okay option versus the A+? Yes, these are definitely the best choice option. It just didn't seem like it was something that a lot of players at the high level put a lot of experience and time into in the competitive scene. And only a few teams tried to make it work, and that resulted in just having an inexperience of knowing where and how Ruckus fit in that meta. But slowly and surely, players started to try him out, and there were moments, there were opportunities that we saw Ruckus kind of take advantage of, where he was in tight maps and he was able to really have another tank supporting him in his role. People started to try lineups that, weren't complete failures. Now, they didn't win the game for sure, but they saw the benefits that Ruckus brought together on a bigger stage, and once those experiences were gained, the floodgates began to open. And that is how the meta changes. That is the third reason. It is experience. It is when you have someone use something you're not expecting to whoop your butt. Now, I could have said the A word there for more emphasis, but I'm just trying to keep it friendly, guys. You know how we do. Raynday Gaming, stay positive. I love you guys. But the truth is, when someone brings out, let's take Smite for example, a very random pick, and a guy that you're not used to seeing in solo lane, Eager, Divios. He's one of the guys that loves to do this. He brought out Camazotz in the Super Regionals. Not a lot of people knew how to play against it, and dominated. And now all of a sudden, you might see people banning or picking or counting on strategies revolving around Camazotz at Worlds. And that's insane, but that's how it works. It's not necessarily that anything changed. It's that they've now had this experience that they can go off of. And that's what pros need. They need to see something work. They need to see that it's effective in that highest level so that they can put their money where their mouth is, because there are dollars on the line. There are futures on the line here, and no one's going to pick somebody that they don't trust or haven't seen work. And once Ruckus had his moments, had a couple of shining opportunities and seized them, that's, I think, when pros started saying, hey, if we do this right, we can make this Ruckus work. Like, if we get this and this and this, Ruckus could be pretty dope here, guys. Let's think about it. And once you get that momentum, it's so easy to keep it. The hardest thing is starting that momentum, but those, I think, are the three factors that really contributed to this kind of Ruckus phenomenon. Though nothing changed with his kit, all of these things helped to make Ruckus get into this wonderful place for HRX. We're now talking to some of the pros like Theo, one of the better players, tank players on the best team in Europe. Burrito GG has said that the top three are no longer Barrick, Fernando, and Makoa. It's Fernando, Makoa, and Ruckus. I did not think I would hear that by the end of this year. I did not think I would hear that unless Ruckus had some dramatic kit change. And what do you know? Ruckus is here. Now, the last thing I want to say is kind of a warning. It's kind of just my overall thoughts about this, and it's that let this be a reminder that sometimes the best things, not only in life but in gaming, are yet to be discovered. There are those hidden gems, those champions that no one respects or cares about, those playstyles that aren't popular and aren't meta, that suddenly rise and change the way people think about the game and change and open their eyes to what's possible. We've seen it happen in human history all of the time. Hundreds of years ago, we had people enslaving each other in this very country, thinking that that was the normal way to do things. And people over the course of time, through tremendous changes, tremendous sacrifices, and showcases, and with experience, open their eyes to another possibility. That's what in gaming is so exciting to me, to see those moments happen live. That's what's going to happen at HRX. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that happen for Sky here, because she's been in a similar position with Ruckus, and she might see some play and be very, very well respected in this tournament. But overall, just remember that if the meta is the meta and you are a player in that game, you have a chance to change it. You may not be a pro, but you have a chance to experiment. So don't ever give that up. Don't ever give up your own right and your belief in the ability that you can change the way things are. And part of that is being creative. Part of that is believing in something. Part of that is faithing and saying, I can't see this yet. No one believes this yet, but hey, I think this could work, and I'm going to do my best to try it out. And when you do all those things, you really do open yourself up to have some really amazing moments. That's why Ruckus is here. That's why Ruckus is having his heyday. It didn't matter that Ruckus was crappy for the whole year. He's going to have his time now at HRX. And that's pretty exciting for me. And of course, what would be even more hilarious is if Ruckus didn't get played at all and this video aired. Everyone's like, wait, I came here to watch Ruckus. I expect you'll see him, but you know, you never know. Life is interesting. We may see the meta shift even once more, and that would be probably the most exciting thing that I could imagine. My dear friends, this will be it for me until I come back from Hi-Res Expo. I'll be doing some vlogs. I'll be uploading them to this channel. I hope you stay tuned to those, and however many there are, even if there are 0, I plan on doing them, but you know, there's a huge event. I have to take priority on that. And if you're there at Hi-Res Expo, I look forward to seeing you. But if you see a vlog, if you see something cool, definitely click on it. Hang out with me. I'll be working pretty hard to do everything and get those vlogs out to you if I can. So if one does show up in your feed, definitely make sure to click it, check it out, say what's up, see how things are going, and tune into some of the games and the tournaments going on. It's going to be a fantastic time. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for all your support. Welcome all my new Raynstorm members. We're excited to have you as a part of this ever-growing family of positive gamers. And as always, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and I'll see you all next time.